boats! Give her all she's got! Fire!
You heard the captain. Fire!
Aye, aye!
I've secured the helm in place. I'm taking over this cannon. Nate, I want you below deck healing our wounds.
Right away, Captain.
Raven, I'm firing you aboard their ship.
But Captain, what if you miss?
I never miss.
Oh God, why am I doing this?
Fire!
Oh, okay.
Captain, you wouldn't Adam and Eve it, but we have a situation down here.
Hello, mates. Just dropping in, don't mind me.
Blimey! If it isn't Raven, me old mate. Get off my ship.
Is that any way to speak to an old crewmate?
Captain, we have bigger problems.
I won't ask again, lad. Off my ship, or it's off with your head.
Captain!
Yeah, what?
Look!
Kraken!
Help! Put me down! Ah!
I told ye! I bloody said there'd be a kraken, but no one listened to me.
Not the time, Kooky! Get below deck and repair! Clara, take the wheel!
Aye, aye, Captain.
Shiver me timbers!
I'm not falling for that! I can't believe me eye!
It's coming in for a bite! Ah!
The shrouded coast is actually real! Scatter! You're probably wondering how we got in this mess. But to tell you that, I need to go back to the beginning. In fact, why don't we go a little bit further? Nobody expects to go back before the beginning. My name is Captain John Burningbeard the Feared, and this is my story. You best be sitting comfortably, mate. The salty sea air blowing through a pirate's hair was the best feeling there was. For one pirate, that was all he thought he needed. Raymond BLACKMANE Hunter was a powder monkey aboard the vessel, the Sly Serpent. He'd been a pirate all his life. He saw things that most pirates wouldn't dare speak of. Things that would send a cold chill down your spine at the best of times. Raymond was a lover of all things gold and silver, but he was never interested in being rich. He just liked the look of it. He knew great beauty when he saw it. The crew of the Sly Serpent spent most of their time stealing the treasure from other crews. However, there was one particular crew they could never get the better of. The Merciful Mutant was one of the fastest ships on the seas. She was a beauty of a vessel, I've been told, but that wasn't all that was beautiful about her. On a day as regular as any other upon the seas, the Sly Serpent and the Merciful Mutant were locked in combat. Cannon fire was all that could be seen, save for splintered timber and the choppy, deep blue waves of the night. Both ships dealt as much damage as they took. Amidst the chaos, something out of the ordinary was happening during the bloody battle. Each crew member was accounted for during the conflict, except two pirates. Raymond BLACKMANE of the Sly Serpent and another pirate aboard the Merciful Mutant. Her name was Lola the Wild Langford. Pirates were known for their selfish acts. Most would go for the treasure they plundered, and others only cared for the adventure. But on this day, the two pirates in question couldn't avert their gaze from each other. They were locked in a moment of bliss that for them seemed to last forever. But forever was never enough.
BLACKMANE! BLACKMANE! Ye cowardly swab! Get yourself aboard the enemy vessel!
Captain?
Have ye got barnacles in your ears, lad? I said I spotted a gunpowder keg in the enemy's crows! Get yourself over there and set it ablaze!
Captain, surely there's another way we could...
Are ye questioning my orders, son?
Well, no, but...
Get moving!
Raymond was torn. On the one hand, he didn't want to disobey the orders of his captain, and on the other, He couldn't just destroy the most beautiful thing his eyes had ever seen. It was then that he realized he may never have to. The enemy vessel suddenly came to a shuddering halt as the anchor had not only dropped, but pierced the hull of the ship.
Arr! She's bilged on her anchor. Now's the time to hit her where it hurts.
With all due respect, Captain, the enemy ship isn't the only one in trouble. Our ship has taken a considerable amount of damage. I suggest we retreat for now. The merciful fate has taken enough of a beating. She'll be there for a while. Their own anchor has failed them, and they are surely taking on enough water as it is. We should count our blessings.
Ye might be right, Raymond. I trust your judgment. Men, get to repairs!
And just like that, the battle was over. For now. Time went on, and the Sly Serpent and Merciful Mutant had many encounters over the coming years. They would become rivals. Raymond would occasionally spot Lola during the battles, as she would him. And eventually, the two finally met face to face, but not in the way you'd expect. Raymond and his crewmates were in need of supplies for the journey ahead. They pulled up and dropped anchor at Golden Sands Outpost. They were gathering wood planks, cannonballs, and fruit. Raymond, parched and needing a frothing great tankard of grog, wandered into the Captain's Head Tavern alone. The tavern was usually quiet, but today was filled with pirates of all types. Raymond kept his eyes firmly glued on the bar. He walked up to Tina, the tavern keep, and ordered himself a grog. It was the tastiest grog he'd had in weeks. Funny how a great thirst can make nearly anything taste out of this world. Thanks, love. I'll have another.
I could drink all ye scallywags under the table.
I'd like to see you try, lass.
You're on, mate.
It can't be.
You were saying, lads? Well, lads, it's been fun, but I have some business to attend to. Hello?
I mean hello.
Well, well, well. You're the last pirate I expected to bump into today.
The feeling's mutual.
Lola.
I'm sorry?
That's my name. Well, my full title would be Lola the Wild Langford. And you are?
Raymond BLACKMANE Hunter. Though I be known by me crew as the Phantom Keg. That's a story for another time.
You're the Sly Serpent's powder monkey, aren't you?
That's me.
What brings you here, Ray?
Just docked up the ship. The rest of me crew is stocking up. Which reminds me, you'd best keep out of their way. If they catch us talking, they'll probably kill you.
They can try.
Where's your crew?
Them? They have no idea I'm here. I row here every once in a while when they dock at port. I love this tavern. It's my regular. I don't think they've ever noticed I come here. Just my little secret.
That's handy to know.
Since we're here, I might as well ask. That day I first spotted you on the enemy ship, you couldn't keep your eyes off me. Why?
Hey, the same could be said for ye. And to answer your question, Lola, you're the most beautiful pirate lass I've ever seen.
All right.
Oh!
Be seeing you, Ray.
Hey, avast! Hey, when can I see you again?
I'll be here once in a while. Look for me!
With that, Lola ran back to her rowboat, hoping she'd avoid Raymond's crew. Still stunned by the kiss she gave him, Raymond thought about his next encounter with Lola. The two were destined to meet face to face again, to be sure. Raymond asked around the outpost to those who knew Lola and how often she'd visit. He got the answers he needed, and for the next few years, the two of them would meet up in secret to both their crews. They spent most of their time in a tavern. No pirate can resist a grog or two. Raymond and Lola would often lay together on the shores of Golden Sands and tell each other tales. Raymond would share his crazy powder monkey antics, talking of times he stowed away aboard other ships, plant an explosive keg, light it, and dive overboard. I never saw him coming. and thus he was nicknamed the Phantom Keg by his crew. Lola spoke of her adventures and how she ended up with the nickname The Wild. Apparently, she spent a lot of years sailing around the wilds under another crew. She used to use the harpoon at the front of the ship to steer the ship through narrow passages unarmed. It was either extreme luck or a wild talent to have, so they nicknamed her as such. The story of Raymond and Lola is an odd one among pirate stories. Not many pirates fall in love. Most, if not all, were selfish, whether it be their greed for other people's treasure or their lack of care toward anyone but themselves. What is it they say? Never trust a pirate. But these two, they were different. They didn't care if they were breaking any codes, nor did they care that their own crew were at war with each other. All they cared about was their love for each other. It's enough to make a pirate's stomach churn. During the many months and even years that flew on by, Lola fell pregnant. She and Raymond decided to keep the sprog, but it would have to remain a secret. Fortunately, in the time that went by, Lola didn't show many signs of pregnancy. Guess she wasn't a shower. And when she finally did start showing, her long draped jacket was big and baggy enough to conceal her secret long enough for her to give birth. Her crew were none the wiser. The night she gave birth, the merciful mutant was in battle with a brigantine. The crew were hard at work firing the cannons and repairing the ship, but Lola was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until the battle was over that she was finally found, with child. The first mate that found her brought her before the rest of the crew. The captain interrogated a lot of them as to who the father was. Lola wouldn't say a word, and when she did finally speak up, she claimed the father was an unknown sailor who was killed during ship combat a few months back. The crew was skeptical, but they decided to drop the conversation for the time being. Later that night, when the crew was sound asleep, Lola climbed aboard the ship's rowboat, babe in arms, and detached it, sailing away to what would become her new temporary home while she raised a child. She needed to get word to Raymond somehow, but didn't know how she could. It wouldn't be safe at Golden Sands. It was the closest port to where the ship's crew were currently stationed in the open water. They would likely check there. She kept rowing until she reached the shores of Crook's Hollow, a familiar island which she knew the Sly Serpent would dock at on occasion. It was talked about by Raymond as being his captain's favourite spot to gather fresh supplies and do a bit of light fishing. Lola found a small cave with a burnt-out campfire and stayed in there until her beloved would finally come. Raymond hadn't heard a thing from Lola in several weeks. He knew the baby was due by now. He feared something had gone wrong. He'd been back to Golden Sands 2 times since their last meet-up, but no word from the locals of the island that she'd visited. Fortunately, the very next destination the captain set course for would be Crook's Hollow. Upon arriving, the crew went about their usual plan of searching the island for washed-up supplies, such as wood and cannonballs. Oftentimes they'd find a full crate's worth of cannonballs or wood, which had likely been left behind by other pirates, or washed up after a ship had been sunk nearby. The crew usually stuck close to the coastal line to avoid any roaming skellies that may be lurking in the centre of the island. Raymond stumbles further into the island. He made his way to the rickety old dock in the small cove. He spotted a ripped piece of clothing attached to the dock, just hanging from one of the posts. At first, he didn't know what to think of it, until he realised he'd seen this piece of cloth before. It dawned on him that it belonged to Lola. But what was it doing here? He glanced around and spotted the entrance to a small cave, and just outside on the ground was another piece of that same cloth. This one had been nailed into the sandy ground with a large pointed stick. It caught Raymond's attention, and so he headed inside. Once inside, he held his lantern high in order to see where he was going. It was very dark for the most part. Light began to pour from further inside the cave. Raymond lowered his lantern, pulled out his cutlass, and got ready for an encounter. What he didn't expect to see was his beloved Lola, cradling their child and sitting on a rock by a campfire. He almost couldn't believe his eyes. He called out, Lola.
Ray. Would you like to hold him?
He's a boy?
He has your eyes.
Hey there, little man. I'm your dad. How did you know I'd be here?
All those stories you've told me. I knew you'd be back here eventually.
What's his name?
Well, I was hoping we could name him together.
The timing couldn't be any worse. Raymond's captain stumbled into the cave and found them both.
Well, looky here, the happy couple.
Captain!
So, it looks like we have a traitor in our midst, consorting with the enemy crew, eh? I'll teach ye not to mess with the captain of the Sly Serpent.
Stop! I can explain!
Ray!
Lola! Lola!
Sorry, Ray.
No. No. Please.
Take care of our son.
Shut that baby up before I shoot its mouth off.
You dare! I'll kill you for this!
Don't be a fool, Raymond. You'd best know what you're getting yourself into, lad. I'm a sharpshooter. I'm known for me fast trigger finger. Ye know, 'tis a shame. I'll miss ye when you're gone. It's like putting down an old dog. Ye always was a loyal companion. What's the matter, Raymond? Cat got your tongue. No. So, ye beat me at me own game.
Come here, you. Let's go. Raymond took the baby and had it away on his toes. He made it back to the ship while the rest of the crew were on the island. He climbed aboard the rowboat with his son in his arms and detached the rowboat. He rowed for dear life until he made it to Plunder Outpost. It wasn't his usual port, and that was the idea. Hopefully, he would never be tracked there by his crew. Upon arriving, he made his way into the tavern with the child. He mulled over the events which transpired that day. Grog after grog, he was never satisfied until he drank the heartbreak away. A young sailor in tattered clothes walked in. He was the only one else in the tavern. He seemed like someone who could be trusted based on his appearance and demeanour. Raymond dragged himself up from the bench he sat at and wandered over to the stranger. Raymond asked the stranger his name, but he got no response to begin with. Raymond took another look at the man before him. Clearly very young, couldn't be more than 17 or 18. Raymond grabbed the man's attention once again. This time, he started by introducing himself. Once he got the man's attention, he began to blurt out the events which happened to him. Feeling horrible for what Raymond had just lived through, the stranger asked how he could help. Raymond looked back at his son, sitting on the bench, only 3 weeks old, too young to live a pirate's life. Raymond knew what he had to do, but he couldn't do it, not without Lola. He looked back at the stranger sat before him and asked him to take the baby under his care. The stranger shook his head and called Raymond mad. Without a second thought, Raymond stood up, stumbled over to the baby and picked him up. He held the baby out to the stranger and begged him to take the child and to promise him to never become a pirate. The stranger was handed the child, but he was still reluctant to do so. Raymond asked the stranger's name, to which he replied, Duke. Raymond said his goodbyes as he walked away from the stranger and out the tavern door. Duke called out to him and asked what the child's name was. Raymond pondered briefly, scratching the back of his head for a moment. John. And with that, Raymond was gone. I never saw my dad. I only ever knew what little information my Uncle Duke told me about him. How I came to know the rest of my dad's story will come later. For now, it's my time to shine. For years, I was raised to think the pirate's life was nothing but trouble, just a waste of time, and a dangerous one at that. I was told stories about the skeletons that roam the islands, and how they'll stop at nothing to ensure a pirate's eventual demise. Uncle Duke told me my dad was a drunk pirate who was too obsessed with greed to look after his own son. He explained that all pirates succumb to greed. My uncle tried to scare me so that I wouldn't even think of becoming a pirate. However, what he didn't know was that the other residents of Plunder Outpost all had a different take on the adventure of a pirate's life. So despite what my uncle told me, I was excited to become a pirate and to experience the adventure that everyone else was talking about. On my 18th birthday, I'd planned to sneak aboard one of the ships that docked at the outpost. I waited for the opportune moment and made me move. I stowed away on board a small sloop with a crew of 2. I hid myself below deck, hiding behind one of the many barrels below. It worked, for a while anyway. Mid-sail, the skipper found me and dragged me to the back of the ship by the map table. At gunpoint, I was forced to dive overboard with the sharks. Seeing as how I came unequipped for a fight, I decided to oblige. Thankfully, I could see an island nearby, and although I was banned from ever going to sea by my Uncle Duke, I learnt how to swim regardless. I made it to shore. It was a large island that I didn't recognise at first. But once I saw all the shark statues scattered around the various shorelines, as well as the large one in the centre of the island, I realised that this had to be Sharkbait Cove. I'd heard of it by the locals of Plunder Outpost. I spent several days and nights there, figuring out a way to return home. During my time there, I grew accustomed to the many emergent skellies that would roam the island. I even killed a few of them. Those boneheads weren't very tough. I found a makeshift cutlass. Well, I say cutlass. It was really just a lump of blunt wood, but it worked well enough to take down those skellies. Though, the ones with guns I'd only managed to flee from. Scupper that! I knew how to handle a weapon. I spent years growing up, training to use a cutlass in secret. Duke never knew, but I was getting secret lessons from Whitney the Warsmith. She taught me everything I needed to know about a cutlass and a flintlock. Though, admittedly, I never trained much with a flintlock. The noise would attract unwanted attention. I eventually found everything I needed to construct a raft. I got to work on it and gathered the necessary supplies such as food for the journey back. Shamefully, I even bludgeoned a few pigs to death and cooked them on a small cooking pot I found on the island. That pork was lovely, but I feel sorry for the poor animal. During my time at the island, I even found an old seafarer's chest, and one of them skellies I killed dropped a skull. At the time, I had no idea of its value, but I soon found out later that it was worth more than an handful of gold. I grabbed some makeshift paddles and I hopped aboard me raft. It took me 2 days to get back to port, and when I did, my uncle was furious with me. He found out what I did, so I explained everything that happened. We argued back and forth for the next few days. He refused to allow me to become a pirate, and I called him a liar, saying how he was wrong all these years. I regret saying some of the things I said, especially after what happened next. To my surprise, Uncle Duke gave in. He told me he didn't care what I did with my life anymore. He told me I was a man now, and it was my choice, and he wouldn't stop me anymore. Instead, he helped me, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. I spent the next few years doing odd jobs around the outpost. Bit by bit, I made me some gold coin. My goal was to have enough to afford a ship of my very own. I wanted to sail the seas, and I did. The fateful day had passed. 5 years of blood, sweat and toil. It sat there in front of me. A fresh coat of lacquer and new rigged sails. I named her the Rusty Bucket. She was by no means rusty, or a bucket, but it was the best name I could come up with. You'd think after 5 years I'd have a better name picked out. I wandered up to Harry the Gold Order, the very same guy I handed my first chest over to 5 years ago. I picked up a new fresh quest the Gold Order had on him. A treasure map which consisted of 3 X marks of spots for what looked to be Booty Isle. Without question, I climbed aboard me sloop and I sailed off, waving goodbye to me uncle and the rest of Plunder Outpost. Months passed, and I got very accustomed to sailing me ship alone. I knew the exact moment to weigh anchor, coming into port at a faster speed than was recommended. I used to frighten the pants off me uncle the way I sailed into port. I was finally ready to command a crew. I just needed to find one. I sailed for weeks, looking to see if there were any pirates willing to join me. At first, it seemed hopeless, until it wasn't. Ahoy there, matey!
Huh? Oh, ahoy!
I've been looking for a crewmate. Fancy joining me, lad?
Aye. Permission to come aboard, Captain?
Be my guest.
Hey, nice ship.
She's not much, but she be mine. What's your name, lad?
The name's Tyler, Captain.
Ah, good to meet you, mate. I be Captain John of the Bilge Rats. Welcome aboard.
The pleasure's all mine, Captain.
Tyler was my first crewmate, and wouldn't be the last. I titled him First Mate Tyler. We sailed together for many moons, and then we stumbled upon a stowaway. Show yourself, knave!
Wait, don't shoot!
At first, we were gonna force him overboard, but my first mate had a better idea.
Hey, Captain.
Yeah?
We're actually in need of a third. What do you say to that?
Alright, bucko. Here's the deal. We're in need of a third man. We can either feed you to the sharks, or you can join the crew. What'd you say, lad?
Would I get paid?
Well, yes.
I'm in.
Nah, all we needed was a bigger ship. Fortunately, in my foresight, I'd previously procured a larger vessel. All me treasure finding had paid off. And with our third mate, we was ready to sail the newly furnished brigantine. There was just one last order of business.
What about the silly goose? The tired horse? The barnacle fish.
I got it! The burning tide.
Yeah, that works. I guess that's cool.
Once the name was settled upon, we finally headed out on our first quest as a 3-man crew. I had just got word from Uncle Duke that an ancient terror was loose upon the seas, and that I'd need to find a man named Merrick at Sharkbait Cove in order to unravel this mystery. Turns out we needed 5 pirates to all play the same shanty at a specific coordinate on the map, T26. This of course meant we had to find us another crew.
I say, tally-ho!
What?
What my picaroon of a first mate means is, ahoy! And we're looking for a crew to help us summon the Hungry One. The other crew agreed to form a temporary alliance, and we headed off to T26 to summon the ancient Megalodon. We played a new shanty given to us by Merrick, and it was only a matter of time before we regretted our decision.
She's coming!
Things will be like this for some time. Everything was going great. I felt like I had a real crew of mates at my side. Our next grand adventure had us taking down skelly fleets from the deep. These cursed crews rose from the depths to attack unsuspecting pirates, but to those daring enough to defeat them would claim a grand reward. Our vessel, the Burning Tide, saw many adventures, skeleton forts, skeleton fleets, and even daring to go into new waters. Our next adventure would see us sail into the newly discovered lands, the Devil's Roar. It was there that I got my nickname, Burning Beard. What be this then? Look like some sort of steam. Blimey, it's getting hot.
Captain, your beard's on fire!
Put it out, quick!
I'll grab a bucket of water.
Quick! Good times. Raven earned his official position as Powder Monkey aboard the Burning Tide. He was a right scallywag. He'd swim out with a keg to a ship anchored at an island, and he'd climb aboard and make a deal with the crew.
Hello, mates. I got a present for you. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Shoot me, and we all go. Boom! Here's the deal, lads. You hand over all your booty, and nobody gets hurt.
It might not have been the most civil way to go about things, but this way we didn't have to waste precious supplies. Plus nobody got hurt. Well, most of the time anyways. Over time, it felt like my crew was starting to become more fierce. Tyler would start shooting first and asking questions later. Sure, he tried to justify it, but I never looked at him the same again. I was given the nickname Captain John Burningbeard the Feared. Pirates began to fear the Burning Tide, and the one in command of it. Me. I never wanted to cause fear among other crews. That wasn't my goal. I just wanted to sail the seas, steal some treasure for the fun of it, for the adventure, and do it alongside a hearty crew. But everything was falling apart. Tyler was given the nickname The Tyrant, and rather than follow my orders, Raven started to follow in the footsteps of Tyler and kill innocents, all for fun. They figured they no longer had time to wait of negotiations. Ironically, it was around the time the fog started to roll in around the Sea of Thieves from the shroud itself that my vision became more clear. I saw me crew for what they had become, the scourge of the Sea of Thieves. I finally confronted them about the whole thing, the lives they took, the unnecessary killings. It was then they turned on me. Don't do this, mates. We can come to an accord.
You've been a bootlicker to too many crews for too long, Captain.
It's about time you were put in your place, mate. This be my ship now.
Mutiny! You can't do this! I've been nothing but fair towards you since I brought you aboard. And this is how you repay me.
You're too soft. You're no pirate. You're a cowardly swab!
No, mate. Treasure and power. Those aren't the traits of a pirate. What truly makes a pirate is his freedom. But all you want is to rule the seas. You know better than Flameheart himself.
Empty words from an empty man.
Now, get off our ship.
If that's the way of it, then... Har! Had it just been one of them, I think I'd have just about made it. They continued to push me back to the front of the boat. Fighting two skilled pirates in cutlass combat wasn't an easy feat. I managed to keep the fight up long enough without getting stabbed. But me downfall came when I lost me footing. I fell backward off the front of the ship during mid-sail. I was keel-hauled under the boat. I smashed me head against the rudder at the bottom of the ship and blacked out. I'm lucky to be alive. I'm not sure how long I was adrift at sea. Thankfully, we were at shallow waters. There was a small isle nearby. I guess my body must have drifted toward it. When I finally came to, I was awoken by a firm slap on the cheek of a total stranger. My first instinct was to punch him in the nose.
Oh, ear! What was that for? Oh, you bumped me on mute. Gore, blimey.
Sorry, mate. You startled me. Never wake a pirate with a slap. Ah! Sink me! Oh, my head don't half hurt. Oh.
That'd be a nasty gash on your head, mate. I'd get that looked at if I were you. Name's Cuckoo Loose Screw.
John Burningbeard, captain of the Burning Tide. Well, I was. Hold up, Cuckoo? What kind of name is that?
The one I was born with. Right. Now, I bet you like a nice tankard of old grog, eh?
Oh, aye. Fetch us one. There's a good fella.
Eh? I don't have one. I just meant you looked like you could do with one.
Oh, I need you, don't I? Oh, my bloody head! After formal introductions were made, I climbed aboard the vessel known as the Squeaky Wheel.
What do you think, then?
You'd be a complete addle. What kind of name's that for a ship?
I'd like to see you do better.
Me last ship was named the Burning Tide.
Aye, I guess that's all right.
All right? It that be a name to strike terror in the heart?
Arr, something like that.
There be no pleasing some pirates. We docked up at Plunder Outpost by my request. I limped my way to the tavern where I saw me Uncle Duke. He saw the state I was in and got pretty angry. I explained the whole story to him, but he was too upset to take any of it in. I spent the night at the tavern while my wounds healed. Cuckoo stayed at the island and waited for me till morning. He had a proposition for me. Uncle Duke had finally calmed down. He wished me a good morning, and then told me to be careful on my travels. I guess he figured I'd be leaving again. He knew he wouldn't be able to stop me, so instead of fighting me over it, he accepted it. Cuckoo offered me position as his captain, which was surprising. After he heard what happened to me, he felt somewhat guilty. That, and he needed a crew member anyway, but he admitted to not being very good at taking charge. I took his offer, and the first thing we did was get ourselves a new ship and a new crew. Fortunately, once again, due to my foresight some years back, I left myself a stash of gold at Plunder Outpost. Enough was there to get me a galleon and hire me a new crew. I put up recruitment posters in the tavern for those interested in joining me crew. It took a few days, but finally I met two, interesting ladies in the tavern. Bearded ladies.
Aye, Captain, that be us.
R.
But, you don't have a beard.
R. Well, I shaved this morning, Captain.
Right then. Well, you're hired, I guess. Welcome aboard.
Captain, what be the name of the ship?
Well, that's a good question. I don't actually have a name yet. I really need something that fits. For now, we'll go with the name of our last ship, the Squeaky Wheel. Don't ask. Anyway, I want you both ship-shape and ready to set sail as soon as.
Aye, Captain.
Here, Captain. Who are those strange-looking women?
Our new crewmates, lad.
But one of them has a beard.
They're apparently known around the seas as the Bearded Ladies.
But only one of them has a beard.
Yeah, I believe one of them is naturally that way, and the other just pretends to have a beard, because her friend has a beard. Yeah, I'm as lost as ye, lad.
What?
And so it came to pass. The crew of the Squeaky Wheel sailed the Sea of Thieves. We plundered and we preyed upon other ships, never giving them an edge, but staying respectful upon the seas, and never going down the path of me old crew. They were the devils of the sea. I wanted my revenge on them. I'm a fair pirate. All I wanted was to sink them and make sure they rued the day they ever crossed me. For many months we continued on our adventures. We heard of a contest, the arena, held by the son and daughter of the greatest pirate that ever lived, the Pirate Lord. We thought about entering the arena and taking on crews. We wanted other crews to know our name. But first, we needed a name. A better one than Squeaky Wheel, that's for sure. As luck would have it, the timing couldn't be any better. I had done enough on the Sea of Thieves to earn the title of Pirate Legend. I spoke to the mysterious stranger at Plunder Outpost, and he allowed me access to Athena's fortune, where I got to talk with the Pirate Lord himself. Such an honour to be in his presence. I was given the Shanty of Legends, so that I may access the Pirate Legend hideout whenever I needed. It was finally time. I decked out our ship with new colours, and finally came up with a perfect name for her new ghostly appearance. The Ghoulish Inferno! Say R if you like the new name. And I'll tell you something else, lads. We are entering that contest tomorrow. And so we did. We made our way to the recently constructed Arena Tavern. It was a way of bringing pirates together. Fair play on the seas as different crews came from all over and shared a grog and a story. As I looked around at the pirates of all varying shapes and sizes in the tavern, I couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie. Out there on the open seas, it was any pirate's game. But here, we were treated as equals. Well, right up until the competition began at least anyway. Sure, there were a few loudmouth landlubbers boasting to destroy the rest of us. But it was all talk. We needed action, and we were going to get it. We set sail at the start of the contest. Our plan was to sail to the nearest island which had X marks the spots. Other ships intercepted us, but we soon chased them away with our cannon fire. That'll teach them to get on our broadside. Ha ha! The timer ran out during our first competition, and our crew had received the most silver for turning in the most booty, not to mention dealing the most damage to other ships. I won't bore you with the details of every battle, but let's just say we made it to the final match. It was then that things changed for the worse. Among the crowd of salty pirates, I'd spotted them. Me old crew. Those mutinous blackguards.
Well, looky who we have here, Captain. It be our old Burning Beard. Long time no see, mate.
You have a lot of nerve showing your face here.
Same could be said for ye.
You should be dead. I should have dropped anchor and finished you off when I had the chance.
That'd be about the only way ye could beat me. Finishing me off when I can't fight back. Sounds like your style.
Words, mate. Just words. I'll wipe the poop deck with you this time. Fair and square.
Ain't that a barrel of laughs? You would have known fair if it came up and bit your booty, lad. By the way, I see you got yourself a replacement.
That I did. And one who ain't a gutless swab.
Pleasure to finally meet the legendary coward himself. The name be Nate the Mate. I'm the first mate.
That's a mouthful.
Aren't you gonna introduce me to your new crew?
Certainly. This ragged gentleman to me right be Kooky. Nicknamed him myself. He's the carpenter.
Horrible to meet you, Boyle. I heard you're a right knob.
The name's Captain Tyler. The pleasure's all yours. You're quite welcome, bucko.
These, fine ladies to my left are Carol McFilthy and Clara Clarkson, nicknamed the Cannon and the Fowl, respectively. Carol is me master gunner, and Clara is the bosun of me ship, as well as part-time cook.
Ye call these bilge-sucking rats ladies?
Charmed, I'm sure.
I don't know any of ye, but I already hate ye.
Well, gentlemen, ladies, we must be off. Good luck out there on the seas. You'll need it.
What a load of old shit.
Weigh anchor! Full canvas! Let's show the burning tide what for! Ah!
Lower those sails, men! We'll bring the fight to them!
Aye, aye, Captain.
There were no other ships. All that were on the horizon were me old ship, the burning tide. Those double-crossing traitors. I was gonna make them wish they never betrayed me.
Captain, they're coming in for a ram!
Be ready, lads! Hold on to what you can! And prepare for boarders!
When I say men, I want you to board them and kill every last one of them!
Ready, Captain.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Now!
Brace yourself! Raven and Nate leapt onto our ship from the starboard side, but we were ready for them. Carol and Clara had their swords at the ready, and they made their first strike.
Ha! Yeah, take this!
Have some of this.
Nice try, lass. Ah!
Kershplash!
Well, it sounds like she hit the water. That'll teach her.
Surprise, bucko!
Ha! What the? You're gonna pay for that, wench!
Bring it.
Good work, Carol! Clara, keep on the offensive!
I'm trying, Captain.
You fight like a lass.
I am a lass.
Could have fooled me. Ha!
I'm coming round for another pass. Kooky,
Aye, Captain.
keep the ship adrift. Repair those holes.
Aye, aye.
Give it up.
Nah, mate. I'm just getting started. Ha!
By the goddess herself, what is that thing?
What? Where? Yeah!
Excellent work, Clara. Carol, how you doing?
Almost there. Captain.
You wish.
Here.
Me eye!
Go for a swim, knave.
With Tyler's crew now swimming with the fish, we made our move. Tyler was the only one on his ship. He was sailing right for us, and we were sailing for him. I had just one plan left.
Captain, the enemy approaches. What's the plan?
Be ready on that anchor, lass.
The captain's up to his old tricks again, mates.
Oh, here we go again.
Lovely.
All right, you landlubbers, grab as many cannonballs as you can. Man the starboard guns. Kooky, get off repairs and seat yourself at the cannon.
Aye, aye.
Carol, drop the anchor on my mark. We're gonna broadside them.
Ready, Captain.
Drop the anchor.
What?
Fire!
Fire!
Keep it up, lads. We almost have her.
Yeah! Oh, yeah!
That was the end of that, or so we thought. Our victory was short-lived, but we didn't yet know it. We won the arena battles and took first place, and I even got me due revenge. Tyler and his crew survived from what we were told, but the burning tide was no more. From here on out, things are starting to go real good for us. We made a name for ourselves on the Sea of Thieves. We defeated several skeleton lords during our next few adventures, as well as journeyed to beyond the Shroud using the power of the Shroud Breaker, and defeated the Gold Order himself. The Pirate Lord in person even thanked us, and reminded us what being a pirate is all about. Not the gold, but the glory! There was, however, one thing that happened which wasn't so good. During an encounter with a Megalodon, I was unfortunately bit in 2 places. I lost my left hand and my right leg. I can't begin to describe the excruciating agony I was under. I'm more than lucky to be alive. I know it sounds cliche, but I became your typical folklore pirate. Peg leg, hook, you name it. Though I have to say, I have gotten rather accustomed to it. Then, Cuckoo continued to remind us why he was given the nickname Kooky.
Kraken, folks, Kraken!
No!
Guys, the Kraken! It's incoming!
No, it's not!
Kraken!
No! For the last time, Kooky, the Kraken only comes out when there isn't a skull cloud or ship cloud in the sky. How many more times? This continued to go on. We believed Kooky to be losing his mind slowly over time, seeing things that weren't there and such. In the end, we just decided to ignore him. Adventures continued. We tackled the dreaded Fort of the Damned, watched a Sir Arthur Pendragon release Flameheart upon the seas. What a plank. Treated ourselves to some of Athena's fortune at Thieves' Haven, and earned more than twice the amount of gold through emissary flags at each trading company. There were no better times to be a pirate. And that's when the ghost ships arrived, and at the command of Flameheart Sr. himself nonetheless. Many ships tried and failed to vanquish the ghoulish fleet. Even we attempted once and almost lost our ship in the process, but someone had to stop him. We watched from afar as other ships would fail, being capsized by the terrifying wraith balls. They were enough to scare a pirate to his core with their chilling screams of terror. It was enough to put me off me grog. Finally, after what felt like days of studying from afar, we finally worked out the best way to take him down. See, the problem most ships were having was getting stuck in the middle of an entire ghost fleet and unable to escape. Merely staying on the outside of the circling ghost fleets would ensure we take minimal damage, and remembering to stay away from their behind due to those explosive kegs they kept throwing off the back. Also, by focusing fire on the flagships, and then finally Flameheart's vessel, the Burning Blade, we would secure our victory. We had to wait for no sign of ships before we went for it. If other ships were around, they'd surely wait on the outskirts for us to finish, and then sail in last minute and go for the steal. We planned carefully, and finally, we struck. Each wave of ships was more terrifying than the last, and the constant fear of other crews getting in the action and kicking us while we were at our most vulnerable would be less than viable right now. Plus, it made the situation all the more irritating with Flameheart's stupid disembodied head talking trash to us the whole time. After pressing on through the waves of ghost ships, we finally saw her. the Burning Blade, Flameheart's flagship. Tried as we might, we didn't seem to be doing any damage to her. We broadsided all 4 cannons and still she was afloat. But eventually, it worked. We wore her down. The Burning Blade was no more. We finally shut Flameheart up. In the wake of his ship exploding with a ghostly shockwave came a large pile of ghost booty. We anchored and grabbed the loot with a harpoon as quick as we could in the event that other ships might be on their way. Sadly, to our dismay, there was.
Captain, I spot a ship on the horizon.
You heard him, ladies. Grab the loot faster.
Captain!
Aye!
You're not gonna believe this. It's the Burning Tide. She's back!
What? No, that can't be. Let me see. Great Ramsay's ghost. She's back!
Captain, all the loot is on board.
All right, mates. Listen up. Our fight is not over, it seems. The Burning Tide lives. I'm not sure how, but that be her sails and hull. There's no mistaking it. We must take our final stand against her. For the glory of freedom. For the glory of being a pirate. And for the adventure.
Arr! Captain, the ghoulish inferno is dropping their sails and are headed southeast.
You're gonna pay for this, John.
Captain?
What do you want?
The ghoulish inferno is headed southeast.
I can see that, Nate.
Yeesh, what crawled into his grog and died.
The captain is under a lot of stress, mainly due to us. Had we not been bested in combat during our last battle and kept the enemy from using their cannons, the captain wouldn't have been left in the situation he was.
Maybe you're right. This time we won't fail him. I'll stay with the ship in case he needs me, unless he says otherwise.
Break up the pillow talk, gents. The enemy is upon us.
Captain, what be the plan?
Thieves' Haven is dead ahead. I know this island like the back of me hook. We'll lose them there. And when they come out of the other side, we'll be waiting for them.
Captain, they're headed inside Thieves' Haven.
So, it's like that, is it? I know what they're planning, and I know how to counter it. Raise the sheets!
Anchor now! Right. Now it'd be a waiting game.
What's the plan, Captain?
Any moment now, they should come charging through the center of the island in an attempt to follow us. That's when we fire everything we've got into them.
Captain, I hate to say it, but there's no sign of him.
Captain! They're flanking us from the east.
All hands, raise anchor! Come on, we got this.
Captain, they're gaining on us.
Captain, orders!
Load the cannons. We may have to fight them sooner than we think.
Loading cannons!
Oh no. Captain, you're not gonna like this!
Skelly ships on our stern!
Get rared.
Captain, we got spooky, scary skellies on our 6.
That's not our only problem. The Burning Tide has its sails in the wind. We don't. All of ye, get to it. Haul wind!
Get ready on those starboard cannons. We're coming in hot.
It's no good. They're too fast. They'll be at our side in mere moments. Port side cannons, lads. Grab all the cannonballs you can find.
Give no quarter, gents. Send her to the Ferry of the Damned.
Ready, men?
Aye!
Fire! All hands, give her all she's got. Fire!
You heard the captain. Fire!
Aye, aye!
Those rotten skelly ships are still after us. Cooking!
Aye!
We be taking on Bilgewater! Get below deck and repair the bow and aft!
Aye, Captain!
Men,
Aye, Captain!
I've secured the helm in place. I'm taking over this cannon. Nate, I want you below deck healing our wounds.
Right away, Captain!
Raven, I'm firing you aboard their ship.
But Captain, what if you miss?
I never miss.
There's still a chance I could run afoul of the cannonball directly in me face. Could that be the case? I be brown bread, Captain.
I don't care. Now climb in.
Aye, Captain. Oh God, why am I doing this?
Fire!
Oh, okay.
Captain, you wouldn't Adam and Eve it, but we have a situation down here.
Hello, mates. Just dropping in, don't mind me.
Blimey! If it isn't Raven, me old mate. Get off my ship.
Is that any way to speak to an old crewmate?
Captain.
Mate! No. See, if I recall, you and that scallywag you now call Captain created a mutiny aboard my beloved Burning Tide. You threw me off my own ship.
Captain, we have bigger problems.
Well, you seem to be doing just fine now. Got yourself a new crew.
I won't ask again, lad. Off my ship, or it's off with your head.
Captain!
Yeah, what?
Look!
I just bloody patched that. Oh, scupper me. Here, what be all the fuss about?
Kraken!
Help! Put me down! Ah!
I told ye, I bloody said there'd be a kraken, but no one listened to me.
Not the time, Kooky! Get below deck and repair! Clara, take the wheel!
Aye, Captain.
Now then, where were we?
You draw on me? So be it then. On guard!
We have them now, Captain.
I'm saving our cannonballs. Let the Kraken finish her off. We'll need them for later for the skelly ships hot on our trail.
No, it can't be.
What is it, Mr. Nate?
Shiver me timbers!
I'm not falling for that. I can't believe me eye.
It's coming in for a bite! Ah!
The shrouded ghost is actually real. Scatter! Back to square one. Now, you finally get to see what happens. Brace yourselves.
Ah! Great ghosties! What was that?
No, that bite was too much for the ship. We're done for.
Looks like we win this time, mate.
Maybe so. Well, I'm not going down without a fight. Ha!
Arr, I can't keep up with this. There's too much water. And now there's a little bit more. Here, Clara, help me bail.
I'm on the damn turny thing.
No time. We're sinking. Quick.
Captain, I'm sorry, but I've got to get off the wheel.
That's fine. Drop the anchor.
Are you crazy?
Just do it.
Hold up, Cookie. I'm coming.
They've anchored? Why have they anchored? Those fools!
Captain, the skellies are caught in the Kraken's ink. They won't be able to catch us now.
Perfect! Now anchor us!
Aye.
Ye do realize this is futile.
I don't care, mate. I'm not giving up.
Whoa, what? Yeah!
Be seeing ya.
Captain! For Ramsey's sake, help me!
Wait!
Captain?
What are you doing?
I just remembered. I stored a couple of kegs below for safekeeping. I'm going to use one of them on the Kraken.
What about the ship? It's done for, Captain.
Don't worry. I have a plan.
Would you care to tell us your plan?
In a minute! I only had one surefire way to get this Kraken off us and win this battle. It all had to play out just right. Cannonball! I placed a gunpowder keg right at the base of the tentacle that held Clara captive in its jaws. I had to be fast. The ghost megalodon was circling the ship, ready to pounce. Nighty-night, sweetheart.
Whoa, hey, I landed safely.
Follow me, mate. I've got a plan.
Whoa! Whoa!
Now's our chance. Raven's off the ship. Our ship is safe. We need to get over there and kill the crew before they repair. They'll be too distracted to defend. Let's go!
Aye, good plan, Captain.
Captain! All 4 of them are on repairs. We can't let them save the ship.
I know! That's why we're swimming over. Get aboard with us and draw your colors. We'll put a stop to their hearts. No quarter!
So, you mentioned having a plan, Captain?
Aye. Follow me, mates.
Alright, climb aboard, quick! Leave no one alive! I don't see him. Raven, Nate, do you see anyone?
Negative, Captain.
Nothing, Captain.
Then, wait. Men, quickly, get to the top deck!
Ahoy there, mates! Don't mind if we borrow your brig, do ya?
It's a bit cramped, but we'll manage.
You rotten thieves! That's our ship!
Takes one to know one. Also, technically, this is my ship. You stole it from me. Now I'm stealing it back. By the way, you may want to watch out. I left one last little surprise for you.
What? No, you wouldn't!
Say goodnight, lads.
Scatter!
Oh God, no, not again! Why? No!
That was the mightiest battle we ever fought on the seas. None rivaled it, even to this day. Sadly, we lost our ship. She served us well for many, many months. We also lost track of the ghost megalodon. So much for that. But I did get me old ship back. She was rightfully mine anyway. There is just one last thing to mention. Earlier on, I briefly touched upon how I was told very little about my dad from Duke, yet seemed to know his full story. Well, as promised, here's how I found out his story. Many more months had gone by after our last great battle against Tyler the Tyrant and his crew of blackguards. I had just docked the Burning Tide into port at Plunder Outpost, back to see me Uncle Duke. When I walked into the tavern, I spotted a man in a leather jacket. He looked oddly familiar, almost like looking into a mirror. A much older, more haggard mirror, but a mirror nonetheless. The stranger looked the part of a pirate, but didn't look as though he'd seen any action for years. There were no fresh cuts, gashes or wounds. Either he'd been away from the seas for a long period of time, or he was the best pirate we'd ever seen. I stumbled toward the man, standing beside Duke, and introduced myself. Ahoy there, stranger. You look to be new around here. The name's John, Captain John Burningbeard. The response I got from this man was odd to say the least. I held out my hand for a handshake, and all he did at first was grin back, with tears in his eyes. Then, he came in for a hug. For some reason, I couldn't fathom it at the time, but I hugged him back. It felt so natural, like I needed to do it. Who are you, John? This is Raymond, your father.
Hello, son. I can't tell you how much it means to finally meet you.
Dad?
I've been hearing all about your adventures on the seas from your Uncle Duke. Even though I gave up the pirate's life, I wanted the same for ye. I can't say how proud I am to call you me son. I'm sorry I was gone all your life. I just hope you can forgive me, son.
Thank you. All I've ever wanted was to meet you someday. I don't care that we were a part of each other's lives until now. I care that you're here now, and we can finally talk. Thank you, Dad.
Not the reaction I expected, but a welcome one, son.
I imagine most would be angry or unforgiving of their parents' abandonment. But not me. I'd been through death-defying events, bloody battles the likes of which make me thankful to be alive each day. To see my dad, finally after all this time, I welcomed him. Because I never know what tomorrow may bring. And that is where this story ends. I'll be seeing you, mates. Take care on the seas now.
Ahoy!